Hi, welcome to the Pole Shift News and the home of the Mabstar Observatory. Guys, interesting response to yesterday's video with regard to Mammoth Hole, where the earthquake was registered on one of their seismographs, and a lot of mixed responses back to it. At the end of the day, I'll give you my opinion, my scientific opinion on that, and I presented my facts, and pretty much you got your own ideas as to what it was. In my view, if it looks like a dog and it barks like a dog, then surely it must be a dog, and I don't think there's any reason to even apply Occam's razor. That which tends to be simple tends to be the obvious, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'll give you mine on that. I could have given you a lot more facts which would have supported my argument on that, such as there being military bases in the vicinity of China Lake that are specifically there for the development of nuclear weapons. So I don't think that if they are doing testing and that what it was, a test of a nuclear device underground, which is where they probably do it these days, to save the atmospheric pollution, then I don't think that they're going to make announcements either way that they're going to do it or not. And if it was the case that they was trying to relieve the tension in the area to prevent even a bigger catastrophic event taking place, then again I don't believe they're going to make an announcement for that reason, that if they do cause damage, they don't want to be liable. At the end of the day, if that is the case, they're trying to save collateral damage being caused to the American economy. Let's face it, they've known that Los Angeles, California have always been overdue a very, very large earthquake at some point at this point in time. So maybe if they can relieve tension gradually over a period of time, that might result in there not being such a catastrophic event and a total loss or total devastation to the American economy. We just don't know. Or there could even be an underlying reason that we couldn't even, as normal human beings, put our finger on. I mean, let's face it, there was a few comments where people said, do you really think that they would put the American people in harm's way? Well, haven't we witnessed this already? Do people still believe that when the Twin Towers come down, the people that were responsible, accordingly to mainstream media, those terrorists on board those planes, after they went into the buildings and exploded in fireballs, that miraculously their passports were found on the floor in amongst all that rubble, pretty much untouched? Can you believe that such a thing could even be found in those circumstances? Well, guys, it's down to individuals to do their own little bit of research, and a bit later on in this video we're going to have a look at somebody's individual research. There's a guy hasn't got a particularly large amount of subscribers, 69 subscribers, so I'm going to give him a little shout out in this video. He was brought to the attention by a friend of mine who's got one of our magnetometers in Perth, Australia, and he said it could be the canary in the mine. And the guy's done a little bit of research on his own. He's not, like I say, got a large following, but I think what he's done is a marvellous effort. He's gone back to have a look at the records of when let's have a look at the map, and let's have a look at his his channel. So if you want to go over there and have a look, you can do. Let's do that. So this is CF Jingra's channel. I've included our map of the magnetic intensity, and I'll tell you why that is. CF Jingra's done a bit of research over the last probably 120 years, and he's found that in the west coast, sorry, we had a little glitch there for some reason, in the west coast of Australia, South Australia, in that region there that's marked, there's only been 2 other occasions where snow has fallen, and snow is set to fall again in that region. It commonly apparently falls in the west south coast of Australia and Tasmania, but rarely in this region. Now, he's also found that, you know, there was some similarities in the solar output during the times when it had snow before there in that region. So, you know, he's just bringing it again, what everybody else seems to be reiterating now on YouTube, you know, that there is a grand solar minimum effect, that when there is a low solar output, low solar spot numbers, we do get, you know, colder weather on the Earth. But something else has also been taking place in this region over the last 100 years at least, and that is the magnetic poles have been migrating. And we know that the South Pole has already left the continent of Antarctica and is somewhere off the coast of Antarctica right now. And we also can see on the magnetic intensity map or chart on the right hand side of the screen, there is a large magnetic plumage now ever increasing over Australia, and it's just starting to get in that region where, you know, CF Jingra is talking about, with it getting colder and more snow. And we're also getting that high intensity region now just creep up on that region as well in Australia. And, you know, I've said this before, we have seen the magnetic North Pole migrate westerly towards Siberia. We've witnessed the northern hemisphere, or the Siberian pole as we call it. We call them, because we state that on this channel there is 4 magnetic poles, one over in Canada, one in Siberia, and we also classify this as a pole in Australia. And when they start to merge over new territory where these high intensity regions weren't before, these regions begin to get colder and colder. And that's probably why we saw, you know, hundreds of thousands of heads of cattle die through, you know, freezing to death, and, you know, crop losses in the hundreds of thousands of hectares as well in those regions. And it's because, I believe, this increasing magnetic intensity, along with you know, the grand solar minimum taking effect, both of these things do achieve one thing, and that is increase the amount of cosmic radiation. And we know now that cosmic radiation can form seeding particles over the southern hemisphere, especially where the ozone layer is. They attach to those aerosols, form cloud nuclei, and as a result, the nuclei is perfect condensation platforms for water vapor to form on, and therefore we get more water vapor forming in the atmosphere, and then getting transported via the subtropical jet stream and the polar jet streams, you know, intermingling, and that's how we get these massive flash floods. So I think, you know, in the future, guys, if we're going to predict, you know, where we're going to start seeing, you know, these major weather anomalies form in the future, we need to be looking at a multitude of things. And I think this is why climatology is getting very hard to predict. I think there's a lot of guesswork in it. I mean, we've even had examples from pilots where they've said the weather's changed whilst they've been in the air. You know, they've had all of a sudden tailwinds, and then they've had headwinds, and as a result of that, you know, it's given them options. Do we land the aircraft, take on more fuel, which means we've got to stop, make 2 journeys to this destination, or, you know, is there enough fuel in the aircraft to get us to the destination safely? And you know, it's not just pilots that are having to deal with these changes in the weather. It's farmers mainly, and more importantly farmers, because that is in turn what is going to affect ourselves. Guys, we all live in cities mainly, or, you know, there's not many of us now that live in villages. And the reason for that is because cities became, you know, more sustainable than out in the villages. You know, out in the villages, you know, for instance, there was, you know, perfect sanitation. You know, you've got sewerage systems taking the waste from the home. You didn't have to rely on septic tanks or, you know, other methods of delivering or exposing of your waste and your grey water. Now in cities, you know, it takes care of all that for you. You also got, you know, your emergency facilities that can be at your home possibly within 5 minutes of you making an emergency call, whether it be the police, the fire department, or you need an ambulance. You know, these are the things that drew us to the cities originally. The other thing is the readily available shops, and also, you know, nice gas supplies, nice electricity supplies. All these things were very appealing back in the 40s in the UK anyhow, and that's what drove people out of the villages into the cities. Now you see what happened then. Also, the property of villages, village cottages and things like that hit rock bottom, and because people were just fleeing these places because it was more convenient to live in a city. Now the opposite has happened, because these amenities now have worked them way out into the countryside, into these villages. People have got internet, they've got gas, electric, there's a local shop. Even though where I live right now, the nearest local shop is 3 miles, and if ever you're not with a car and you've got to walk, it's a real pain, unless you've got a push bike or something like that, but that's slightly deviating. But the point is that what is taking place on our Earth as a result of a magnetic reversal is affecting everybody. And let me just put it in perspective. The 10% crop loss in the United States has already started to drive the price globally up of food. It has affected a lot of other countries, because that 10% loss has meant that somebody else around the world has had to make up for it. And where, like in any industry, there is a greater demand, it also increases the price of that product which is in greater demand. I don't need to explain how gold markets work. If there's lots of gold on the market, you're probably going to get £3 a gram for your 9-carat gold. If there's a shortage of gold, you might get £12 a gram for your 9-carat gold. I think you get the point, guys. It's the same thing with any commodity. But if only these governments around the world were working closer with each other, and there wasn't such a corporate drive to drive governments to do crazy things. If we was taking another direction in humanity, things probably wouldn't even be half as bad as what they are now. But we don't live in a perfect world, do we, guys? And a good example of that is, and you're going to hate me for saying this, but it's true. It is absolutely true. 2 people yesterday out of 6,000 people, made a push on this channel to support it. It's the world we live in, guys. And you're going to hate me for this as well, for mentioning this story in the Bible, but there's probably a good reason for it. There is a mention of 144,000 people in the end times that given an opportunity, and I'm not going to go into it. If you're interested in knowing about it, I'm sure you've got a Bible or an electronic Bible you can read. Just look up about the number of the 144,000 and what they're going to get selected. But let's put it in perspective. There's 8 billion people on this world right now, and if we was in end times right now, only 144,000 of those would be the ones that are selected out of all the rest. So it's the times we're living in, and it's a shame. I just hope that there is more people out there willing to get behind us and support us what we're doing. We're trying to deliver a service for 24,000 people now on this channel, and I hope it continues to grow at the rate it does. And I'm really thankful for those people that support it as much as they do. I could mention names. In fact, I might even just ring off a list of people tomorrow in a video, just saying thank you to all those people that recently have helped this channel massively and keep our observatory going. I'm going to end the video here, guys, because I've made the point. I think just to round things up, I think that this magnetic intensity that now is moving up on Australia could also be a reason for those regions now in East South Australia to start getting more snow, because we've seen this happen over the Northern Hemisphere, and there's no reason why the Southern Hemisphere should act in any different way. After all, there is a big, as you can see on the right hand side of this chart, a big area now of huge magnetic intensity arriving over the Australian plateau. So it's a time to keep our eye on things, guys, more than ever. I have managed, along with somebody else, another one of our subscribers, another one of our guardians of the globe, as I call them, managed to locate some chips, hopefully those all important ones that fit our program nicely. And if that is the case, then it won't be long before we bring M8 and M7 online. Excuse me. And that will mean we're not only monitoring the highest intensities of magnetism on our planet, we'll also be in the region to monitor that South Atlantic anomaly. which is the lowest region of intensity on our planet, and that is one really that we should be keeping our eye on for the same reasons as all the others. So guys, you know, I hope you have a great day. I hope that you tune in tomorrow, and we'll thank a few of those people that have been supporting the channel. I think it's only fair that we do give something back, but don't forget we have promised as well as a little bit of a bonus, and I ordered, once again, I can't believe this is the second time I've ordered this, guys. I've ordered another set of radiators for our cloud generator, because as you know, we're cooling it down now by liquid as opposed to air. And you know what, I might even do those two things in the video. I might just say a big thanks to the people that are supporting us, and we might also you know, just get the organic camera out and show you where we are with that cloud generator. And you know, I'll leave it at that, guys. I'll say what I usually do. You know, you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow, and you know, we'll look into the cloud generator. So link down there if you want to support the channel, and as always, bye for now.